Welcome back, everybody. We've got a Bilt 30-inch rear engine rider this morning that the customer brought in and said that it won't start. I'm going to go over everything that could possibly be wrong with this and show you how to fix those things. First thing I want to do is say a big thank you to all of these subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that. We just passed 10,000. That's a huge milestone, and I appreciate each and every one of you. The first step we took here was obviously to make sure the PTO is disengaged. We made sure our parking brake is locked in and we were sitting on the seat. Still nothing whatsoever out of it. Let's test the battery. We've got a voltmeter. You want to set it to volt with one solid line and one dotted line at the bottom. That's DC voltage, no matter what. It's on 7.98 volts. Well, that's not nearly enough to start this thing. We can put a battery charger or a maintainer on it to get it up to a good voltage and test it again. We're just going to use a jump pack. We use the Noco GB40. What I use in here, we've got a bigger one we take out on trips and things with us. It doesn't have a year, it doesn't, oh, this battery does have a year, 4/21. I looked around at first and I couldn't find it. 3 years out of a battery is not uncommon with something like a lawn and garden battery. So it looks like it doesn't have, it's not even showing hardly any power at all. Push our button. That just bypasses like the safety on there to give it some initial voltage. Looks like our meter is showing 11.99 volts now. Turn the key and see what happens. Should fire right up. If everything was good, it would fire right up. Something is still going on even with a charged battery with the jump pack. All of our connections are tight. You want to make sure of that. If they are not tight, you will not get full voltage through and the thing will not start. You also want to make sure that the ground wire, which is the negative, where it comes back and attaches to the frame, that this is tight. If it is not tight, again, that will not start. That ground wire and all of the connections at both the battery, where the positive connects to the ground, or the negative connects to the ground, and then both positive wires up top. You've got one going to the starter, and then you've got one coming straight off the battery, which is hot. If those are not tight, you will have issues. Make sure that all of that wiring is tight. That goes for your two wires going to the solenoid here. That's where your solenoid gets voltage from. When you turn this key, you should be getting 12 volts to here as long as all your wiring's good. And if you're getting 12 volts to there and it's still not starting, you know the solenoid's bad. If you're not getting 12 volts, you know you've got a safety switch or an electrical issue somewhere. You can test the starter easily by connecting the top two posts of the solenoid together. I like to do that with a small screwdriver, and you're just going to connect the top posts. Be careful not to touch anything else metal. You can create a spark, which can cause other issues. I've got everything disconnected. You'll want to make sure that it is in park and in neutral. You can also take the spark plug wire off if you so choose, but if you leave this in gear with the parking brake released and you go to turn this over, if it turns over, this mower will move on you. So as I touch those two together, see if I can get a better angle over here. As I touch the metal together of the two, it should try to start. If it doesn't, our starter's back. Apparently it wants to stay started at this point, but it should try to turn over. I didn't disconnect the spark plug wire. You can do that as long as you have the other safety measures followed. It does not matter. And if you did not disconnect your switch and everything, it would not start in the first place since it's grounded. And we'll trace this. So that's the solenoid. That's basically just what sends voltage straight through the starter. As I turn the key, I get nothing. Let's check our safety switches, because apparently one of our safety switches is not functioning properly since we're not getting voltage here. There are very few safety switches on this model. You've got one for the seat, which just is an operator present switch. In order to start this, as long as you have the parking brake actually locked into park, you do not have to be sitting on this to start it. The parking brake is pushed and it is locked in all the way to start. There is a switch up underneath that is for your parking brake. If that switch is not making contact, it will not start. You can see it kind of through the side. In order to get to that and test it, you would need to take off the screw here and then the couple underneath, and it all kind of slides up in order to test that one. I'm going to show you how to test those switches here in just a moment. You've got one for the PTO switch. That is right here. This PTO switch, if the PTO is engaged, it's not pushed. And if the PTO is disengaged, it should be pushed all the way back in. There is a cable that attaches to this, and everything should slide back exactly to where it should be. And then you've also got one right here for the side chute. This is for your mulch plug cover, as it has here, or your side chute, either way. The problem with these is, as you can see, this one is popped below where the plastic is. That means this thing thinks there is no side chute on it and it will not start. I'm just going to push it back down in, loosen this, push it back down in, and tighten it up. So the switch is being pushed now. You can take that out and you can kind of bend it down a little bit. I like to heat it up on the backside and kind of move it a little bit downwards. That way it doesn't happen again. It's a very easy thing to do. It kind of solves your issue real quick. That is now pushed. All of our safety switches are pushed. Let's try this again and see if that was our only issue. I see probably, I don't know, I mean, dozens of these things happen every year with this same issue. And that's all that's wrong with them, is just that the button isn't pushed on the opposite side. We've still got voltage, it looks like, from our jump pack. Let's give it, as I'm turning the key, I'm getting 11.71 volts now to the solenoid. That means this thing should start as soon as I plug these wires back in. That solenoid will connect. If you're not getting voltage after you've checked all your switches and everything is pushed, what you'll want to do at this point is check the safety switches. To test your safety switch on this, you'll want to move your meter to ohms beep if you've got it. That'll be like a beep signal, like here on the right. A lot of times you have to push the select button after that to select it at the bottom. Now when it makes a connection, it beeps. The pairs will match up. We're looking for connection. If you don't have the ohms beep, you'll be looking for as little resistance as possible. It'll basically be a dead short with 0 ohms resistance. This one says normally closed, so the pair between this horizontal pair, when I touch it together, it should beep. When I let that push it in, the circuit is now open. Now it's closed. Normally closed means without it being pushed, it's a closed circuit. The other one is going to be opposite. Some of these are backwards, but check them. If they say NO or NC on them, like this one does, you already know which pair is supposed to be what. So this one's open, and as soon as I push the plunger, that closes the circuit. We know that this one's working good if both pairs work exactly how they should. They'll be open one way and close the other way when they're pushed. If you've checked all that out and you've got good connections, you've got your parking brakes on, your safety switches are being pushed and everyone's being pushed. If you're still not getting voltage, really the only other thing left is the ignition switch. And it has some, so this has your little board to it, and it's got your wire going to it. And then you also have right here a fuse. You can pull that fuse out and check it, or you can check it with a meter, either way. A lot of times we check these a little bit earlier in the process than all the way at the end here. Anyway, let's see, we'll plug those back in. And see how this thing works now. That we've got good voltage, all of our safety switches are pushed. Sounds like we might need some carburetor attention or something of that sort. From a not starting standpoint, we definitely fix that. We're going to try to let it run for a little bit, see if it clears up, and if not, we'll quote some additional things to the carburetor. Hopefully this helped you out. If you have a no start issue on your Troy Bilt or Cub Cadet or Craftsman, any MTD made 30-inch rear engine riding mower. If it does end up being a carburetor issue, if it will turn over but it won't start, we do have a video on that you can check. Check out the spark, check out the fuel, make sure you're getting spark, fuel, and compression, and that'll take care of the issue. Hopefully this has helped you in some way, shape, or form. If it has, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for watching.